Jaxson Dart dazzles. We've got a whole host of questions coming in on the beam-ups. And Aidan is finally back from Cali. Let's hear about his Californication. It is time for Watch D.A. Live. It is so good to be back with you on a Sunday night edition of Watch D.A. Live. Everybody, if you're just tuning in for the first time, this is what we do, and we'll be doing it through football season. Although football season kicks off, we'll move to 7:30 Eastern time to give you a window to watch that late game, and then we'll get it done before kickoff of Sunday Night Football. So between that very comfortable window, end of the 4 o'clock games of the East Coast, and then start of your Sunday Night Football, we will be live every Sunday night with complete instantaneous reaction to all things football over the course of that Sunday, and live guests breaking things down from across the NFL universe. What could be better than that? As I mentioned, the Marquette Marvel is back, and we've got to go through his Rolodex, his photographs, his memories and images. There's another edition of Night School, you fantasy football fans. We've got your advice, sleepers, and a special position. And I will have a busy night. I'll explain coming up shortly. But first, it's time for your Furious Five. For subscribers, every single time that we go live on Sunday nights, and when we do live question and answers, and for the Bill Maddock live post games, you'll want to be subscribed. Hit this join button up above to be a member. Hit this subscribe button below. That way you are covered. All right, let us begin with the topic du jour today after last night's preseason action across the NFL and the New York Giants young quarterback of Jaxson Dart. Dart has another touchdown pass under his belt. He has a running touchdown last night against the Jets as well. And suddenly the toast of New York happens to be the former quarterback at Ole Miss. And I am one that actually believes in Dart despite such a small sample size, and I'll tell you why. It's not that I've seen enough to convince me that he's a, certainty at the position, but what I think is very clear is the amount of reps, the amount of starts, the amount of passes he has thrown in college. And in today's generation, your Elite 11 camps, your passing camps, and the like, Jaxson Dart looks like he is very comfortable in the pace, in the rhythm, in the speed of the Giants offense and in an NFL offense. Now, again, this is preseason. Things get fired up to a next level. So I never go crazy about preseason stuff. And that's why last week I was mentioning how Shedeur Sanders, let's take a pause. It's a really good step forward, but it is not a full picture of whether he is ready to start or not, or whether that he's busted everybody's predictions that he was a bust. There's no way to know. And there's no way to know about Jaxson Dart yet either. But Dart's composure in this offense is not only a compliment to how Brian Daboll has fashioned the offense, but also a compliment to him. In both the games against the Bills and the Jets, you have seen him drop back to pass, look through his reads, make a pass. And what I like about Jaxson Dart is he already has a certain pocket presence that I think is hard to come by when you're a young quarterback. I look at Daniel Jones, who the Giants invested so much time in, and I feel like he never looked as comfortable as Jaxson Dart has looked at times in the pocket already. You'll see Dart drop back to pass, namely this touchdown that he threw down the sideline against the Bills last week in preseason game number 1. And he stood in against the rush. Rush came in. He stood tall and still delivered the pass. I thought that's an interesting throw because he didn't try to side shake. He didn't try to be elusive. He didn't go duck down. He stood there, threw it, hit it. He did that on a couple of occasions against the Bills, did the same thing last night against the Jets. That's something that only comes with the understanding of lots of reps, lots of games, lots of starts, lots of passes. And for the Giants brass, who was nearly thrown out last year, remember how many people wanted both Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen tossed out with another disastrous season in New York, another non-playoff season, planes flying overhead at MetLife Stadium. Mara was criticized roundly for sticking with these guys. But by doing so, look what ended up happening. This team now has a real hope and optimism that they've built a nucleus of guys from high-end draft picks and some savvy free agent signings that you can really build a team around. Just from drafting over the last 5 to 6 years, you were talking about Malik Neighbors at wide receiver, Kayvon Thibodeau as a pass rusher, Jaxson Dart as a quarterback, and Abdul Carter as a pass rusher as well. Those are massively important pieces to have if you're ever going to turn the corner. Now, it doesn't guarantee anything for the Giants this year, and I think that any time that a guy becomes the flavor of the week, especially in New York, you've got to guard against it. On Monday, everyone's going to be talking about Jaxson Dart, and that's the last thing you want with a young QB. But what I've seen from him is a certain maturity and expectation of what the event is going to be, what it's going to look like, what he needs to do, and he's doing it. And that's a huge step forward for a young quarterback. I still don't think the Giants should start him out of the blocks. I don't think there's any reason to. You let Russell Wilson go out there and take some early bullets for the team. You know that he's a temporary solution. What you're sensing is, at very worst, Dart is going to be your starting quarterback. Week 1, 2026 is what you hope. So you let 2025 simply be, you only put him in there when he's ready and the team is ready around him. There is no sense in rushing this. And then, as you watch him grow, you pick your spot strategically and say, now it's your era. Because the early returns on Dart this is not going to be a work in progress. And I'm not talking about will he not have ups and downs. He will have downs. He will throw interceptions. He will make bad mistakes and bad decisions. That happens. But another young quarterback in town, across town with the New York Jets, Sam Darnold. Get in there and do something. Zach Wilson, get in there and save us. That's never the right situation for a young QB. It ruined those two guys, at least early in their career. Maybe Darnold now ends up having a great second half of his career, but it feels like Zach Wilson's always going to be, nothing. Don't push him in there too early, even though the early returns are really good. Wait and be patient. But the early returns are very good, and Jaxson Dart looks the part of a starting quarterback, something the Giants have been sorely lacking ever since the retirement of Eli Manning. Next up, Jim Harbaugh. The Michigan Wolverines get more than a slap on the wrist for all of the things that happened at Michigan that Harbaugh would rather have you, never kind of remember, talk about, etc. And he even said in response to this, I'm done engaging. I'm not engaging. Like I told you last year, I'm done. Well, what ended up happening was the NCAA elected to impose financial penalties and recruiting limitations as part of the final punishment issued in connection with Connor Stallions. Okay. And this is a pretty significant financial, slap on the wrist. Beyond that, it's more than that. It's a big time fine that is over the course of multiple years. What I think this is a acknowledgement that the Connor Stallions espionage, sign stealing, film study, all of that stuff was not above board. That's it. And at that point, there is a bit of a stain on the Michigan national championship run. There is. There's no doubt about it, because if Michigan fans are going to look at the Ohio State championships and say, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? If you look at other championships like Miami and say, what about this? What about that? What about this? You have to look at yourself as well. Now you can say, well, ours wasn't as bad as theirs, but that's really all semantics. And I'm not saying that the punishment is always equal to the crime, because today in college football, the NCAA is as toothless as it's ever been in terms of instituting punishment and policing its sport. But that being said, the NCAA still felt as though this was significant and serious enough to outlay a pretty serious financial penalty. I think ultimately it's the right move, and I rarely say that about the NCAA, to start penalizing programs financially versus taking down banners and revoking wins. That's always been stupid. Let's face it. It's always been idiotic to say what you saw happen on the field or on the court didn't happen on the field or on the court. Never made any sense. In today's college football, college basketball world, it is all about the finances that you can spend on your players, on your staff, on your facilities. That's it. At the end of the day, it's all financial. So those should be the penalties. Michigan should not take down a banner. They should not have to give back wins. There should be no voiding or vacating anything that happened on the field. But if it was a significant broach or breach of rules, then you should be penalized, punished financially. So it does exist as a stain on Harbaugh's tenure, but it doesn't erase the fact that he had unbelievable success there and changed the entire trajectory, perhaps history, of that program. To that point in time, they were getting their teeth kicked in by the Buckeyes. And it was so clear Ohio State could compete for national championship and Michigan just couldn't. By the end of Harbaugh's tenure there, the script had flipped, the roles reversed, and that is Jim Harbaugh. You cannot take that away from him. That is what it is. That is foundational, fundamental to what he did at Michigan. So was it perfect? No. And his whole, we only drink milk and eat steak and get our rest, and that's how we win football games. Let's face it, that was always a lark as well. If you want to get on Harbaugh for acting the part when he doesn't really live it, fine by me. Don't tell me he didn't know what Connor Stallions was doing. So that part is real. But what is also real is Michigan doesn't win a national championship without Harbaugh doing what Harbaugh did and flipping that entire organization, the entire program. And that doesn't just happen by sign sealing. It happens from a lot more, a will of Harbaugh. So that's where I stand on that. I think it was right to penalize them financially. It is a stain, but it doesn't erase what he actually accomplished on the football field. Next up, with your Furious Five. The Cleveland Browns have one of the more interesting quarterback races in the NFL. And primarily that's because everybody wants to know about Shedeur Sanders and whether or not he is the biggest steal or the biggest bust of all time. A lot of people want to see him have a sock stuck in his mouth because he talks too much. People don't like his attitude. And there's also another rookie quarterback in Dillon Gabriel, drafted in the same draft by the Cleveland Browns. And both those guys are vying for this QB2 spot, at least whichever rookie has the head start. Shedeur had a great first game. Didn't play in the second game due to injury. Dillon Gabriel did. Dillon Gabriel was not as impressive as Shedeur Sanders. When Dillon Gabriel was asked on the sideline about eliminating the noise, he said, some are entertainers and some are competitors, and I'm a competitor. Many people, including myself, heard that and thought, that feels like a not so veiled shot at Shedeur Sanders, does it not? He's in this quarterback competition. Shedeur clearly drops in the draft due at least in part to whatever he kind of uses as showmanship, brashness, showbiz, entertainment. That's always been, the Shedeur or the Sanders family brand. There's the now infamous shot of Shedeur and Cam Ward doing a draft season, pictorial together. And Cam saying, man, I just want to play football. And Shedeur kind of joking around about everything else, about cutting a rap track or whatever. So it feels like Dillon Gabriel is taking a very direct shot at, I'm the football player. He's not. When asked to clarify this after the game, Dillon Gabriel said, this is an old quote. I've used it many times. everybody in this room is an entertainer. That's your job. That's fine. I'm a competitor. And at first I thought, I don't know if I'm buying that. And then I thought about it. I said, at very least, I might give him the benefit of the doubt here that that's what he meant. It's a poor choice of words when you are in a battle with a guy seen as an entertainer in Shedeur Sanders. The optics are that Shedeur the entertainer, you're the football guy. That's what it sounds like to the outside world. And maybe you need to be more aware of that. But when he's asked the question, how do you deal with the outside noise? And then he says to the media, you guys are the entertainers, it does, to me, make sense. The noise being who deserves to get the start, who deserves to be drafted. This guy's better, this guy's worse. This guy's a bust, this guy's a bum. All of that stuff, which is all media necessary, it's on media platforms or the voices of media, can be viewed as the noise. That could be viewed as the noise. Now, is it a convenient explanation to, suggest that, hey, it has nothing to do with my teammate? Yes. But I also don't think Dillon Gabriel is that stupid. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. I don't think Dillon Gabriel on the sideline of a broadcast is being asked, how do you filter out the noise, and taking a direct shot at his draft classmate. I don't think he's that dumb. He played a lot of college football, and I just don't think he would have been that stupid. So maybe I'm naive, but I don't think he would have done that. I think you'd have to be really stupid to do so. And I thought that in the context of what he was asked, how do you filter out the noise? You would say, well, the noise is created by entertainers. I don't have to worry about that because I'm on the other side of that stuff. That's where I stand on that. Next up of the Furious Five, the Terry McLaurin situation. The Terry McLaurin situation in Washington has had everybody discussing when or if he's finally going to report to camp. And perhaps we finally have some type of answer to this. That the latest roster move could be that the Commanders have moved him to the PUP list to clear him to come back, effectively designated him as a hold-in with intention to come back. He's been activated from that PUP list, I should say. And so even though the contract isn't done, the fact that he's been activated makes him eligible to practice and ramp up the prep for the regular season. I said this before on this show. I'll say it again. I believe that Terry McLaurin is going to end up getting signed. I don't believe the Washington Commanders organization is going to go into the season without a wide receiver one for their dynamic franchise QB in his second season. After what we saw last year en route to an NFC Championship game appearance and all types of accolades, deservedly so, coming the way of Jaden Daniels, this ownership doesn't want to go back to the bad old days where every high was then undercut by a low because the organization couldn't be trusted. They've worked really hard post Dan Snyder to change everything there, how they do business, how they hire people, how they treat people, how they treat the fans. They're trying to get back to DC. They really want a new stadium. They've really tried every avenue possible to change everything about the last 25 years. What they don't want to do is get embroiled in a bad contract standoff where their young quarterback is at a loss for a wide receiver, specifically his best target, because somebody's not going to budge. I think this was a precursor to Terry McLaurin getting that deal. I think even if he doesn't get all of the money that he wants, he will have some language in the contract which will bend towards him so that he can feel like he can save face here. That's what I think. But I still absolutely believe it's going to get done. And I believe being activated from the PUP list to begin preparations for the season means there is a sense around camp, around the front office, around the organization that they are finally going to get this deal done. And they should. I'm not sure you got to pay him like Justin Jefferson. I'm not sure he's as valuable as Jamar Chase. In fact, I know that he's not. But you're trying to go in the right direction, and the right direction is making sure that your young QB has all the weapons at his disposal that he needs. And finally, for the Furious Five, report from friend of the show, Diana Rossini. The Cincinnati Bengals have been at odds with Trey Hendrickson, and our friend Diana Rossini says that they have been shopping Trey Hendrickson. I have given the Bengals credit this offseason for doing things that the outside world has said they would never do. Pay up, change, evolve. They paid Jamar Chase, and the previous incarnation of the Bengals would have never paid T. Higgins. They paid T. Higgins. They would have let that be a distraction, but they listened to Joe Burrow. Their first-round draft pick, Shamar Stewart, was at an impasse in previous years. They would not have budged, and they would have scolded Stewart. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. It would have lasted into the season. It would have put a real black mark on the beginning of the year. They found out a way to get it done and get him to training camp. Okay? They found common ground by actively not waging war against Shamar Stewart. Clearly, he was able to come back and save some face. With Trey Hendrickson, this is a playing with fire situation. If Hendrickson wants to be paid like the other top line pass rushers in football, mostly you would say you got to do it because you're the Bengals, because you have this window with Joe Burrow, because the defense was the issue last year, and he's the best player on that defense. So just get it done. At the same time, if the Bengals can get a high-end draft pick for him and a player, which is what they're asking for reportedly, and that player can help them this year and that draft pick can help them in ensuing years, there might be a deal that is actually better for the Bengals. Why? Because you've got Burrow, you've got Jamar Chase, and you've got T. Higgins. They're all under contract. They've all got that big money. Your defense was so bad with Trey Hendrickson last year, you need to flesh it out with other talent. It is not just as long as you have Trey, you'll be okay. That defense, with him leading the league in sacks last year, was still an issue, was still a weakness. So for the Bengals, what you don't want to do is trade them only for draft picks, because then it's a net negative for this season, and this season should be considered a championship possibility because you got Burrow in his prime. If you could have a player that softens the blow of losing Hendrickson, but you also get a 1 next year to then again keep replenishing that defense, and it gives you more money to spend other places on that defense, it might be a win by the Bengals. At the moment, I'm going to pause from criticizing them because to this point, they've had a really good offseason, and I do think they deserve the benefit of the doubt for the way they've handled this offseason. Let's see where this goes. But right now, the reports are that they're engaged in trade talks for Trey Hendrickson. All right, boys and girls, that's the Furious Five. That's how we start things off each and every show. A little reminder, as always, to make sure you are subscribed to the channel by clicking on this button below me. Join as a member for exclusive videos. Click on that button above me. For the low, low price of less than a chicken sandwich a month, you get access to custom emojis. We need 2 more members to get the next custom emoji activated by YouTube, okay? 2 more members. That's all we're looking for. 2 more members. Get us 2 more members somewhere out there, you and a friend, you and a coworker, you and a family member, and that gets us the opportunity for another custom emoji. And look at these emojis in the draft chat or in the chat section right now. They're amazing. I would love to have an emoji draft. That's what I'm thinking about right now because they're so good and they're so versatile. We need 2 more to get us there, but also exclusive content constantly coming your way. Hit that join button above me and shop at the team store. That's watchdastore.com. It's brought to you by our good friends at Last Dive Bar. Brian and the gang at Last Dive Bar are just amazing. I love those guys. They have cooked us up an amazing merchandise store. Right now, we've got hoodies, we've got t-shirts, we've got glasses like this one, ready for football season, ready to go. Tank tops, tees, hoodies, and all the designs, all the colors. Check them out. We've got men's, we've got women's, we've got youth, Get your kid outfitted for football season. The hoodies are amazing. Right now, watchdastore.com. Make it happen. All right, also, tonight, it's a busy night around here on the YouTube channel because in about a half hour, the Bills kick off against the Bears in preseason game number 2 on Fox. And all season long, I'm going live after Bills games for my weekly series, Billmatic. Billmatic is an homage to one of the great hip-hop albums of all time, Nas's Illmatic. And I thought it's kind of appropriate because nothing says Bills more than the 90s. It's all about 90s up there. It's all about Thurman Thomas jerseys and Zubaz and Marv Levy sweaters. And so I just felt like Billmatic was the perfect way to weave it all together. Episode 1's already out. I'm breaking down the Hard Knocks episodes as well as the first preseason game. It's out there right now. It's also available as a podcast if you want to listen to it in audio only. But check it out on YouTube tonight, live right after the show, right here, same place you're watching. We will do this after the Bills game against the Bears tonight to break it all down. It's also history in play. It's their final year in the stadium. So you know me, weaving in a lot of history of that stadium, old players you've never heard of, etc., moments you might have forgotten. It's right up my alley, as we all know. If it's throwback, it's me. So check it out. Busy night tonight. We'll go live following that late game in prime time. All right. Also, it is time for some Exhale cocktails, everybody. It is always great to see you guys enjoying a few cocktails over the course of a weekend. And I saw earlier in the chat that even Moist Pork was all about enjoying, really needing one, an Exhale cocktail. These are the beers, the beverages, the cocktails of choice that you use to unwind over the course of the end of a weekend. And this is what it was looking like on my deck over the weekend, including today. And that would be something that I just found in the grocer's case, a Corona Sun Brew. I'm a big Corona fan. It's been really hot and humid around here. So I said, let me try this. Citrus Cerveza brewed with orange and lime peel and then a splash instead of citrus juice. I was intrigued because I love my Corona. Who doesn't? With the old lime wedge in it. So I got it. I broke it out. We have that lawn rabbit on our deck as well. And I got to tell you, a little too sweet for me. If you like sweet, this one was like a shandy, really. And I find a shandy to be a little too sweet for me. And so I'd give it a passing grade because I definitely drank them. Not all 6. I got a 6-pack to just test it out. And it was refreshing on a hot, humid day. But I feel like you needed it to be dialed down 2 notches in the sweetness because I don't want a shandy. That's what they were kind of going for there. That's kind of what they were going for. And yes, I would say I probably took a swing and a miss in that, but frankly, I just had to try it because it looked really good. And at the very least, I was feeling a little bit adventurous. And I said, let me try this. I agree, though, with Bendozo. I wish I had found the bunny in the grocer's case. That would have been even better. Hey, look what I found. Honey, I got a new bunny. I got it from the grocery store. And how about this from our friend Psych Mamter, who's a member around here. We love him. Always great comments, and he's part of the Jedi Council. His Exhale cocktail, he said, knocking these back a couple of times. The Steppenwolf Ale. Howling for hot takes. That's our friend Dave Shepard, a.k.a. Shep. And how about that 10% ABV? That'll get you good and toasty. Although ABV is always be vocal. This was cracking me up today. Steppenwolf. Howling for hot takes. How could you not want some of that? Howling for hot takes with the Steppenwolf Ale. That, to me, looks as refreshing as anything. The hottest of hot takes. That's going to have you feeling a certain way after a few of those. Powerful, intense, makes you emotional. So it is good to finally have the entire Voltron crew back. Jack, the diaper D-alien, Jack Knight, did an incredible job the last 2 weeks filling in for Aidan. This young man is 18 years old, already running Watch D.A live. Aidan was off, our usual executive producer, in California for a long summer vacation and trip out to the West Coast. He took those 2 shows off. He's back now, and Aidan wants to give us his full photo album and experiences from California. So kids, sit back, sit down on the couch. It's like back in the day when you would sit down and somebody would break out their actual physical photo album or have that projector and just click through all of his slides. Oh, come see the family vacation. That's what we're going to do here for Aidan. And Aidan is wearing something around his neck that I'll let him get to, but it is very auspicious the way that it all happened. Aidan, how are you?
Man, I am so great. It feels like I'm glad that you brought me back here. 2 weeks, one in San Francisco, one in LA. I shouldn't say 2 weeks, a week worth, but I missed 2 Sundays. And then I missed the 2 Sundays before that in Chicago. So we're doing a little R&R, getting ready for a busy football season. But like I say at my normal job too, I missed you, but I didn't miss the work.
Thanks. I'll take that under advisement.
Sounds about right. And big shout out to Jack, who is in with us tonight. You're going to see him during night school and absolutely crushed it. I was watching the shows even when I wasn't producing, and he's tough as nails. So great job, Jack.
Yeah, he's done a good job, and he's going to have another edition of Night School coming up here in a few moments. So take us through this incredible week that you had out there.
Well, let's start right at the airport. And these are all going to be pictures. I have a million more photo albums that you can check out on my Instagram, but I wanted to tailor it to the Watch D.A live audience tonight. Yes, you mentioned this is the towel/fit for tonight because, we're back on the mothership, and you love this towel on my Instagram. It's actually silk. You can come feel it. And it's from the Russ concert that I was at the Intuit Dome, which we'll get to. But to start off, let's start off at the airport. And this was at approximately, 4:45 a.m. Eastern time. And I thought this would be a great D-Alien poll question. How many of you knew that Shake Shack actually had breakfast? This was
wow. I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, I have to take a picture of this because it's worth waking up for. Bacon, egg, and cheese, sausage, egg, and cheese. The Wake Up Shack sandwich looks very good. And they got hash browns, egg and cheese, everything. So that's the first picture I took in my photo album from the week.
Wow. That feels like it would get my insides maybe a little bit too Shake Shack is so rich. I'm not sure I would be able to do that early and going on a flight, especially cross country. So I dare anybody to try Shake Shack at 6 o'clock in the morning, but I am intrigued. I will admit I'm a big Shake Shack fan. I am intrigued.
All right. I think it's worth a try. I don't know if they'll have it at any other locations, but I figured, hey, we're in a national audience. This is going to hit, and everybody loves food. Everybody loves Shake Shack. So yes, the gallivant around the country. My first time out in California. So flew initially on this flight to San Francisco, stayed there for 2 days with my old roommate who has since moved out there for work. And this next one is from the It's Sugar flagship store in San Francisco. Toxic waste. This is about that poster you looking at the back there. That's about my height. Toxic waste, huge display.
Wow.
And it was walking around Fisherman's Wharf, San Francisco, and I had to bump into my friend and say, oh, hey, funny story behind this. I finished last place in the bracket pool last year that we did on Watch D.A Live and had to eat toxic waste. So special shout out to One Sour Moment.
Yeah, this was the punishment of One Sour Moment. Aidan had to do it, and this is totally screwing me up because the container that we got for you that I bought on Amazon was like the size of a small soda can. So I'm looking at that middle barrel thinking that that's a soda can, and the other ones are like even tinier than that. But then I see a full-size staircase behind it, and I'm like, that wouldn't be a dollhouse staircase. That's a real staircase for human beings. And so that's a giant drum of candy.
Yes.
That's a huge toxic drum of candy. Did you buy any?
I did not. There's too much trauma there.
Okay.
And if you were watching, that's available on YouTube to go back in the archives from March of 2020. 2024.
That's March. Oh yeah, March 24. Yeah.
It actually was not that bad, and I'm saying that with confidence. But Miraz and Bogus joined us for that, so you can go. Shameless plug for the content. Also, shameless plug. Ben says in the chat, yes, I'm marketing with the DA shirt, but it's new flair with this new towel tonight. Yes, 4K worldwide. This would be in your hood of the Bay Area.
Yeah, that's
because fellow brother in arms with Oakland and San Francisco, the overall takeaway here is that everything's on a hill. As a guy who grew up in Massachusetts, I'll just play this video from the Presidio around, which you can see the skyline. And then if you turn the camera a full 180 degrees, you get the Golden Gate Bridge, which may have been the coolest view of the whole trip. There it is.
Wow. That's awesome.
The Golden Gate is a little over 2 miles, I think, to walk over. So we didn't end up walking it, but that's a full trip if you want to go around that Presidio community. Super cool. The architecture is great, and it's 55, 60 degrees there every day, 365 days a year. It doesn't go too high, doesn't go too low. And I know you've been out there for Super Bowls and whatnot. Everything's on a hill. I don't know how people walk around there.
I think how do you drive
either?
I've driven to New York City so many times that's not nearly as imposing as driving up and down those hills. I mean, I always feel like, what happens if your brakes give? What happens if somebody else's brakes give? What happens if somebody loses control of their bike? I mean, it's just like skateboards. It's like straight down, straight up, windy. I'm like, this is terrifying.
It is kind of terrifying. And I mean, hey, you'll be back maybe for the Super Bowl once again, because it's at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara.
There you go. There you go.
The next phase of the trip, I was going to go from San Francisco and then drive down the Pacific Coast Highway to Los Angeles. And I was like, I have 2 friends out there, one in each city. I was like, this is the perfect reason to go out there. Never been out to California. So a lot of great stops along the way. My favorite of the PCH Highway 1 drive, Pebble Beach.
Nice.
It's a new life goal to play there for all my golfers in the chat. It is as advertised. Amazing. That's right at the 18th green there on the left side of your screen. And if you're a public guy just like me, you can you do have to pay a $12 toll to get in and drive around the community. I don't even consider it a toll. They consider it like a fee.
That's so interesting. You pay a toll to drive around. Can you get out of your car and do anything over there, or you have to stay in the car?
Oh, you can get out of the car. I parked, and to enter the so-called grounds at Pebble Beach, and they call it 17-mile drive. I'm sure the West Coasters know all about this. The most scenic part of the drive, my favorite part, because I could see why Jim Nantz lives there full time, because you can see him up on the cliffs there. You're so high up from sea level, as opposed to some of the more other parts of PCH, like Big Sur State Park. You're, if you take one drive, you're off a cliff, one bad turn, I should say. But Pebble Beach, the houses, the golf, like
cool.
That one drive in itself, very cool.
Yep.
Getting farther south here, finally made it to LA and to the Intuit Dome for Russ and Big Sean, which, if you know me, 2 of my Mount Rushmore favorite rappers of all time, on tour together. I'm like, I have to be out there. The Boston show that they did, I was already going to be out of town. So I'm like, I looked at the calendar, Intuit Dome, August 5th.
Nice.
This is actually a great excuse. This is why I picked the week, because the concert was that day.
This is the home of the Clippers. This is the whole wall of fans. I guess that's what we're looking at on the left side of this, right? It's really steep. That's
right,
where the
side, actually.
Oh, the right side. Okay, interesting.
So they don't actually sell tickets for concerts on that side, and that's where they set up the stage. So you would think it's on that left side, because here's my 5-second Intuit Dome review.
Yeah.
Very steep, but every seat's a good seat. You know, for this, I was in lower bowl, kind of the back end of the lower bowl. And it's, as you can see, pretty steep. I mean, this is a 0.5. Shout out to the 0.5 camera, by the way. But you can see Russ there on the right side of the screen. And for a basketball game, I'd be really intrigued to go to a Clipper game because the Halo video board, as you see there, is so inspiring and artistic. I can't imagine what they do. Outlets at every seat, which is
really
low battery.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
interesting.
Steve Ballmer spent $2 billion on this baby, so it's all tricked out. No TVs around the concourse because during games, Steve wants you to order your concessions. By the way, everything's through your phone. I had my face scanned at every single door, no physical ticket, no QRs, no nothing, which is pretty cool. And yeah, he wants you ass in seat for when the game's actually going on. So that's pretty cool.
So when you order your food, they bring it down to you?
Yeah.
No matter what ticket you have, that's not a special place in the arena. Wherever you are, you order on your phone, they bring it down to you so you're never not in your seat.
Well, I shouldn't say that. There are certain concession points where you do walk up, but I believe it's all pre-order through your phone. And as far as like traveling goes around, no TVs around, so they don't want you to kind of huddle around.
Interesting.
While you're waiting for it. And these lower level seats, as you can see, I'm not big budget Mr. Courtside in the pit, but I had to walk through a private club bar to get to these seats. So very accessible drinks, very accessible restrooms, and the video board in itself is
nice.
The price of admission.
Love it. Very cool.
So not a big concert guy, but I had to make room for that. And I got this awesome silk scarf out of it. And no joke, seeing I Don't F With You by Big Sean live. That's a life.
Nice.
You know me with my bad blood in my veins.
Yeah.
Finally made it to LA, like I said, and really just dotting the map of sports arenas. We got Levi's, we got Intuit Dome, and also hit we'll get to the next slide first, but this is Venice Beach, Muscle Beach. Did not see any of the Arnold Schwarzeneggers or the David Hasselhoffs that are pumping iron at this point of the sunset. But for anybody that needs a palm tree in their life, this is your sign.
Nice.
I'm happy to provide it for you at 7:46 tonight. This was also, speaking of NBA arenas, crypto.com in the back there. Shout out to my friend Brian, who has received last dive bar gear from us. He might even be watching tonight.
Yeah.
Huge Timberwolves fan. And so we put up the Wolves in 5
nice.
to beat the Lakers this year, which, me, diehard Celtics fan, but I'll support my Wolves fan friends. And it's a good tie-in for all of our sports fans in the chat, obviously.
Yeah.
Next up, video went to the Getty Center. And just as a quick overview of the city, you can see the water here on your right-hand side, and then turning east towards downtown Los Angeles. Yes, the 405 traffic, that's a real thing, but everything is so spread out. That's my takeaway with Los Angeles. It's the least walkable city I've ever been to.
That's right.
Everybody is on California time. That it's a real thing. And the weather is 80 degrees and sunny every day, which I probably would take for granted too if I lived there. But I'm sure you've had your gallivants around LA as well. Does that kind of line up with your thoughts as well? The personalities do not match with us on the East Coast.
No, I think LA is a great place to visit. I could never live there. I'm just too much of an East Coast guy, and there's too much of that part of the country that I'm just like too much of. There's just a culture shock there. Like everything is paced differently, everything is vibed differently. There's a lot of unbelievable beauty. I think California is the most beautiful state I've ever been to, and I've been to 49 of the 50 states. Maybe Alaska might top California, but I mean, from ocean to redwoods to cliffs to it's enthralling how beautiful it is. But yes, Los Angeles specifically, like San Diego, I loved. Los Angeles, I didn't really have a lot of love for, but there's just too much New York in my blood.
Psych is really on fire tonight. I still say these are Google image photos and they've been they did in jail. That's great.
I mean, I was going to say, like most of these photos, it's almost very educational what you're doing. I thought maybe it was going to be like you, and you got like a rant. Oh, you do? Okay. So, well, we got to wrap this up here soon because Jack's got to do night school and I got to get to beam ups here.
We do. We'll get to the climax. I'm saving the best for last. Real quick, Erewhon smoothie, Hailey Bieber's strawberry glaze, $20, but it's worth every dollar. Yes.
It's $20 and worth it. Okay, interesting. Why? What's it taste like?
So Erewhon, which is nowhere spelled backwards, you'd appreciate that, Mr. Nomad. The backhand side of it is, oh, hey, there's only 7 of these bougie-ass grocery stores. They're all in Los Angeles. And think of Whole Foods on steroids. So they have some collaborations with celebrities like Hailey Bieber. Hey, let's make this smoothie, $20, but it actually might have been the best smoothie I've ever had.
Okay.
So
all right.
That's the background there. Got entered into a street performance.
Love this.
It's only the penultimate climax. Here's the video. Shout out to Eric Nash, street performer on Santa Monica Pier.
Easy money.
There it is. Shout out to Eric Nash, and he was actually maybe the best street performer ever. And
were you scared that he was going to fall on you?
Yeah, because he had a story like, oh, I kicked somebody's neck recently, or they weren't paying. I'm right there in the middle, and I'm the tallest guy there. So that was the survival trip there. But last point, that same day, driving through Calabasas, and the bottom line here is I'm already starting to shake telling this story, but I told you this on the phone, have not really told this to anybody outside of my general inner circle, but we did a detour driving through, Malibu. We're like, oh, let's find a coffee somewhere. Couldn't find one. We're like, oh, let's drive through Calabasas in the hills. So everything is a 30-minute drive straight up the hill. Shout out to my friend Molly who's driving. But if you can't see, or if you again take one bad turn, then you are off these beautiful cliffs. And the valley is no joke. That's like 20 degrees hotter up there. And we pulled over, needed a place to stop and get a coffee somewhere, whatever, take a break from driving. And sure enough, I find this place on Google Maps. Oh, hey, let's just pop in for a quick drink. And hadn't even walked through the doors of the restaurant. We're just getting to the beginning of, hey, saying hello to the hostess. And I say, holy shit, there's Nas sitting right there.
Wow, Nas!
And this was before you started Billmatic. This is the whole, we talked to this on the phone the other day.
Uh-huh.
It's still driving me nuts. And Nas, I love you. Hopefully you're not mad that I took this picture of you candidly. But I had to order a glass of champagne at the restaurant because I'm like, there's me. And you can see at the bottom or right to the 90 degrees part of my nose is Nas in the green Prada bucket hat. Sitting with his family, no security, nothing. One of my all-time, he's now my favorite rapper because I'm like, I met the guy. There were no pictures between us except for this. But I'm so inspired. California, it's a real thing. Everybody works in the industry, including Nas. And I come back from vacation, and first call I get on with D.A. Oh, hey, I'm making this series called Billmatic. You just can't write it up. So big shout out to Nas. Big shout out to Calabasas. Taking a detour. You never know who you're going to see. And I'm still floored. You're going to see in my new studio setup in a couple weeks my Nas albums with me because he's just the best, and Billmatic for life.
Love it. Okay, that is a very auspicious way for us to kick off this Bills series that we're doing throughout the season. Coming up here at 8 o'clock Eastern time, the game kicks off, so we got to wrap up here before then. Very well done, Aidan Hat, the Marquette Marvel, Californication. Okay, before we get to your beam ups, we got to get to Jack's night school coming up here. Last week, Jack gave us his fantasy football advice. Jack is back with us. Young man, ultimate diaper D-alien, 18 years old, youngest staffer ever on a DA project, and he's here with us now. Jack, welcome aboard. Last week you gave us some defenses. Tonight you're going to give us some early round sleepers. So give us right now your 3 best early round sleepers.
So I'm going to start off. Everybody always says get your tight ends early. That could not be truer this year. Brock Bowers is the only offensive player on the Raiders going early second. Please grab him, PPR leagues especially. Secondly, Malik Neighbors, Giants, love him. Uncontested wide receiver number 1. They don't really have a tight end. Running back room's kind of in shambles. And I like either Russ or Dart to throw the ball downfield. And then just to tie into that Bills series a little bit better, James Cook, 3rd round, ultimate value running back, can do it in the passing game, can do it in the running game. I know they've started to cut back offensively a little bit with Allen's big contract, but Cook is going to eat this year. He's got a new extension. He's ready to roll.
Cook is going to eat this year. So says Professor Knight. Okay. And you're going to give us a couple of kickers to focus on in the drafts.
Yeah, first off, I'm going to go with Ravens rookie from Arizona, Tyler Loop. Knocking him in preseason, been doing a great job in training camp. And anyone in the chat here, if you're a fan of football day shenanigans, you get to run around your living room yelling, Loop.
Nice. That's a good reason to draft. Okay.
And then secondly, Will Reichard, sophomore on the Vikings, Dome Stadium, NFC North, a lot of Dome Stadiums. So he's going to have a chance to have a very productive year with J.J. McCarthy, who, when he was at Michigan, struggled in the red zone.
Okay, there you go. Good suggestions as always. Hopefully you took Jack's advice last week. He did the very same thing. If you didn't check it out, go back to last week's episode and find it about this point in the show as well to get Jack's night school advice on your fantasy football draft. Nice job, Jack. Appreciate it as always. All right, Aidan, why don't you give me some beam ups here so we can roll through some questions, comments, concerns from the D-aliens tonight, especially those that are members. They got those little flaming emojis next to them. I say flaming because it's my face, but it's orange now. If you are a member for 2 months or more, your emoji turns orange, and so that's your little badge. So I like it because it looks like it's my face in a comet. It's coming up in some of the comments here. So what do we got going on?
Big shout out to Chris, who's watching on YouTube, fellow Bostonian, and very complimentary. Always a great night when the mothership takes off. But he wants to get more puck talk on the agenda, more chowder. Maybe that's what it takes. And I'll let you take the wheel with this because I'm not sure what's going on in hockey right now, but maybe as we get into the season, there's another customer that's looking for some Canadian bacon.
Well, I will say that Canadian bacon, unfortunately, when I left CBS Sports Radio, it kind of had to take on a different vibe because I wasn't going to do it on Sirius XM because the guys that did it, they deserve to do it. Mraz and Boyle and Caserta. But I love the fact that we can do it here on YouTube. I love that we've brought it over here. So look, if you want an early season Canadian bacon, we can do that. If you want a all-star break Canadian bacon, we can do that. If you want it prior to the playoffs, we can do that. And if you're looking for a little bit more puck talk with the Furious Five, I would say, you got to wait until the NFL dies down a little bit because it's going to be mostly football here over the course of the next couple of months, and some college football thrown in there as well, depending on what's breaking on Sunday nights. But if that's what you're looking for, you can make sure that I find a few ways to talk pucks because I always have a lot of love for hockey players, for the game itself, for the physicality, for the speed, and for the endurance. Those guys take so much abuse on their bodies. And they put it through so many rigors. They never say boo about it that you can't help. And also, it's never about it's always about team. It's all the old school stuff that I love. So I'm all about the vibes of hockey. So I hear you there, Chris.
Chris also is pointing out, diaper D-alien wise, how young we are, or maybe old that he is or you are, for how long ago that 2011 Bruins run was.
Yeah, that's
Sports Hub. Speaking about being old or being young, Donnie Wahlberg is 57 today. Kick out the jams, new kids on the block. Does that make you feel old?
No, none of these things really make me feel old because I don't feel, even though I say I'm 46 and in previous generations that would have been nearly dead, I don't feel very old. But when I do see people that I grew up loving and I see that they're like 60, it's not that their age is shocking, it's how good people still look. I mean, Selma Hayek's 60 years old. I mean, Elizabeth Hurley is in her 60s as well. J-Lo is 56. These women are still drop dead gorgeous. Nas is 51. I mean,
that's great.
We're going to be coming up on Tom Brady being 51 here soon. It's not going to be far away, right? It's like people look so good. I know that a lot of those are celebrities. They have a lot of work done, etc. But I don't know. To me, it's not shocking how old people are. It's how good they look when they're that age. That's the stuff that always like blows me away. Although I will say that I was doing some Bills history stuff earlier today, and I saw Joe Cribbs, who was a running back in the 80s for them and was a Auburn running back in the late 70s, early 80s, turned 57, I think maybe 60. And I was just like, he can't be 67. I think he was 67. He said that can't compute, can it? Maybe it can. I don't know.
Upside Down Mike, because he's hosted our event, he gets a highlight here. I wouldn't pay $20 for a beer, let alone a smoothie. Trash Aidan for that. Yeah, it's not something that I'm going to do regularly, Mike. And Erewhon, like I said, they're only in Los Angeles. That was actually my friend's, gift to anybody that comes out. Hey, we're going to go to Erewhon. We're going to get a Haley Bieber smoothie, and we're going to go to Santa Monica Pier. So out of my hands, I didn't seek it out. You can trash me for seeking out my $6, $7 coffees, but that's something that I like, and that's my happy place. So yes, you can definitely trash me all you want. I did not do a 14-day stint in jail, though. That's something I can confirm. And then lastly, let's end with a joke. A lot of inside chats tonight about rock and grunge and what's the difference, because Cigar City Capo asked, is there a difference between alternative rock and Seattle grunge? And drumroll please, Drunkle Sam, alternative grunge is just when you decide to shower only once per week. So that'll do it for us. And
that's great. I saw some other funny ones that I wanted to highlight as well. You had Randy in there saying, Kristen, we'll have your favorite beverage ready when you return to the D-Alien Saloon. Kristen obviously is right now pregnant, so I'm sure she's waiting to have some type of cocktail or beer, probably a beer, when she finally has her child, because she is a connoisseur of the creative beers, and Western New York is a really creative beer place. So there you go. I'm sure that she's dying, and anytime the D-Alien Saloon is open, that we're going to make sure that we hook up our captains, especially our Hall of Famers as well. Cigar City Capo says he had pickle juice yesterday and it was terrible. Terrible. I actually really like pickle juice. Now, I don't know if you have to, like, if you have a shot of whiskey and take a pickle juice shot after it, I find that to be very delightful, actually. But I will say that I actually can just drink pickle juice by itself. Like, if my pickle container is done and we've got no more pickles in it, like, before I just spill it in the sink, I'll just take a quick swig of it and then spill the rest in. I'm not going to chug the whole thing, but I kind of like it. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's the salt in it. I don't know, but I'm actually pretty into it. And so I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that anybody wouldn't like it because it doesn't seem appetizing, but I'm one of those weirdos that does. Ralph says, I heard about toxic waste. They're sour as bleep. Maybe they are. I never tried them, but Aidan was an absolute man when he did this a year and a half ago. So, frankly, you got to give him credit because he did not seem like it was that bad at all. Chris comes back and says, do you think that Shake Shack breakfast is better than the citrus drink that you had, D.A.? I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, like, imagine a shandy. Again, do you like a Leinenkugel summer shandy? A lot of people love it. I don't. I can have one or two of them, which I have in the past, and they're fine, but I can't drink a lot of them. It's the same as that. It tasted just like a Corona shandy. So that doesn't make my stomach turn where like a really greasy fast food breakfast early in the morning would. But at the end of the day, I'm a big Shake Shack fan. But it is a good question because I don't know, for everybody, including myself, how that sits on a plane. That might be something that you have in town when you're going home, but on a plane, that cabin pressure, yikes. I'm not sure that you can handle that. 4K worldwide. Whiskey picklebacks go hard. Yeah, it cuts it very well. It makes you feel like the whiskey wasn't actually that bad, no matter how bad the whiskey actually is. It could be like, a bar whiskey, a well whiskey. It's like, actually not that bad. Unknown Nick. Hey, let me just let you know. Chippewa Falls, home of Leinenkugels. Everybody knows about the Leinenkugel Summer Shandy, and it's available in most places across the country. It's not my favorite Leinenkugel, though. Leinenkugel makes one of my favorite beers of all time, the Honey Weiss. The Honey Weiss is one of my favorite beers of all time, and I have not been able to find it in nearly 6 or 7 years. It was before COVID. I found it at a grocery store in New Jersey. I had to drive like 45 minutes out of the way on my way back home from work, but I got it. I bought a case. I was like, you know what? Every time I feel like this, I'm going to go buy a case. Pandemic happened. They don't carry it anymore. And I've looked all over like the New York City area. I cannot find a case of Honey Weiss anywhere. Robbie Rosenhaus, a.k.a. who shall not be named, a.k.a. Huge Freeze, lives in Minnesota. He's like, dude, I love Honey Weiss. I can actually get you a case. I'm like, yes, please do that. He's never sent it to me. So, I'm holding my breath for Robbie. I mean, come on. Is that ever going to happen? So, Chippewa Falls, the best. Leinenkugel, the best. I actually have a Liney's hoodie that I wear during the summer. It's like a light because I love it so much. And when I get out there for my Packer game, whenever that is, might be this season, we'll see. I'll alert everybody. When I get out there for my Packer game, I will be shipping home as much as is legally allowed of Leinenkugel Honey Weiss. All right, that's the comments. As always, I want to thank you guys who are members of the show. As I've talked about before, that helps me help the guys here, specifically Aidan. This has been a labor of love since we launched this show a year and a half ago. It's going to continue through football season. I think we are going to bring you the absolute best coverage on Sundays. It's live interactions with incredible NFL insiders, former players, former coaches. We, I think, are a destination during football season and work really hard for it. I want to make sure Aidan is compensated, and so your membership goes towards that. It helps me spread the wealth to Aidan and Jack and others that help out this show. Since we're not a revenue-driving show as of yet, that's how I can help these guys make it worth their while. So thank you for being members here and supporting this channel. That's how this thing all works. And so it means a lot that you do that because it means a lot that you care that I support the guys that make this show happen. Before we get out of here, we always remember our friend Little Mo Gabba, who always has a smile and a laugh. And this comes to us from our friend Diana Rossini. And Diana joined us last year on Watch D.A Live during Sunday football season. She'll join us this upcoming season as well. She's a friend of mine. And Diana asked Mike Vrabel for superstitions. Here's what we got.
There's something outside football that drives Mike Vrabel nuts.
Yes. People, when they leave their carts in the middle of the parking lot and they don't take them back to the cart return.
That's a good one.
And then the people at Starbucks that park in the handicap spot and go in there and try to get their order from the mobile order.
Who aren't handicapped?
By no means handicapped. No, I look in the dash, I look, and then I wait. And then I approach them.
Wait, so
and I say things like, why did you park here? And one person would be like, oh, I'm with DoorDash. I'm like, I don't care. That's unacceptable. And then there's the mom that's going to yoga and she's rushing because she's late. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
If there was a way you could actually punish them, what would you do?
I wish I had a boot. That's a great idea. I would boot their car, just like a mobile boot, and said, I parked in a handicap spot and I'm not handicapped.
Scoop City is very good. Diana does a great job there. And I like Mike Vrabel's vigilante justice because we've all seen those people that park in a handicap spot and then just hop out of the car and they're completely healthy and fine. They're moving quickly. And you're like, I would never say anything. Mike Vrabel would. He goes up to him. And I would not want to see Mike Vrabel coming up to me as I improperly parked in a handicap spot. So good on Mike Vrabel for the intimidation and the handicap parking sticker vigilante justice. That will do it for us tonight here on Watch D.A Live. Thanks, everybody, for making this thing happen. I love watching you guys on Sunday nights come together and chat and all the friendship and all the bonding. If you know somebody that should be part of the D-Alien family, invite them in, join the chat, encourage them to send along their chats and introduce themselves, because it always works this way. Newbies might be a little intimidated, and then as soon as they get introduced, all of the D-Aliens flock and say, hey, welcome aboard. And that's just the way that it is. And I love you guys for it. Thanks for opening up your arms and embracing everybody to come on in. Football season is here. And so bring all your football fans and family members into the fold. We do this every Sunday night. I got to go watch this Bills and Bears game because I'm going to be on in a few hours doing the breakdown of that. Thank you to Jack Knight. Thanks to Aidan at the Marquette Marvel. Be good and be good to one another. The mothership disconnects.